Liverpool turn to former Arsenal man. Ronaldo welcomes Real return. Barca make decision on Koeman's future, a transfer roundup, and today's great debate all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Froelich, you're the OneFootballers, and this is the Daily News. So first off, Liverpool reportedly going to turn to former Arsenal midfielder Aaron Ramsey in their search for a replacement for Gini Wijnaldum. We've spoken a lot about the Dutch midfielder's future at Anfield. It looks like he doesn't really have one. There have been reports of Barcelona have already made their move, but they aren't confirmed just yet. So why, here's my question, why would Liverpool be looking at Aaron Ramsey? He's a similar age to Wijnaldum. He brings similar traits on the pitch to Wijnaldum, but he's fit like half the time. In fact, Andrea Pirlo has been saying this at Juventus, that Ramsey plays very well. He knows exactly what the team need when he plays. He just can't get a consistent run of games because he's constantly injured. This is probably something that Juventus should have thought about before they signed him on a free from Arsenal. But now that there's even more evidence against his fitness worries, surely Liverpool are going to look elsewhere if they're looking for a main midfield man. Yes, as part of a squad, Ramsey would do a good job at Liverpool, but I'm not necessarily sure he walks straight into the starting 11 and automatically makes that team better. And in Liverpool's position, that is exactly what they need. Alongside this, Juventus are looking to recoup a little bit of money this summer after a financially difficult year. We'll talk about Cristiano Ronaldo leaving in a moment, but Aaron Ramsey's on a fair chunk of wages per week, reportedly $400,000 per week. I'm not sure whether that's the most accurate number, but the context behind it is they didn't have to pay anything when they signed him from Arsenal because he was a free transfer at the end of his contract, so they could spend a little bit more money on wages. Anyway, getting rid of this per week is good for Juventus. I can't see Liverpool paying it though. So maybe, just maybe, Aaron Ramsey's going to have to take a bit of a pay cut, but he might as well if he's going to go ahead and join one of the biggest teams in England. Moving on from this though, and talking of Juventus trying to make a bit of money, getting rid of Cristiano Ronaldo will certainly lighten the load on their financial purse strings. Not only do they want around 29 million euros for the attacker, which may not seem like a lot, but is still a fair chunk of money, getting rid of him and his wages will certainly allow them to maybe plan a little bit better for the future. Obviously, there are loads of other stars in the Juventus squad who earn a hell of a lot of money per week, but Cristiano Ronaldo tops most of them. In fact, Real Madrid are the ones who are looking to take on that burden as they seek a return for their greatest ever goal scorer. And would Cristiano Ronaldo return? You bet your bottom dollar he would. Apparently, he's been saying that he would answer the call should Zinedine Zidane ring him and bring him back home. Of course, we've spoken so much about it. In fact, I did a video on Cristiano Ronaldo's potential return to Real Madrid, which you can check out right here, about the fact that whether or not he's going to go back and if it's a good deal for the future. Of course, without each other, both Real and Ronaldo have failed to reach Champions League finals, but the project of Juventus hasn't exactly gone to plan either, so maybe after 3 years we could see a return for Ronaldo. In the time that he's been gone, he's still been banging in the goals, and if anything, more goals is going to help Real Madrid achieve more objectives. Having said that, and like I mentioned in the video that you can watch, it's not really a step towards the future. It's a massive chunk of money on someone who they're only going to have for another maybe 2 years maximum, unless he does as Zlatan and continues into his 40s, but it's not really what Real Madrid are going to need in the long run. Elsewhere on the pitch, they definitely are looking to the future with the likes of Marcelo potentially leaving the club and Luka Modric not really in it for the long run in terms of the contract that he's got at the moment. And of course, Sergio Ramos could be leaving as well. So they're doing it elsewhere, but just not up front. But then again, you do make an exception when it is one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Moving on then, and actually to Real Madrid's greatest rivals, Barcelona, and the fact that they have made a decision on the future of Ronald Koeman, and that is that their manager will stay beyond the end of the season. This is one, honestly, I did not see coming. I mean, with the new president of Barcelona, with the poor start to the season they were having, being knocked out of the Champions League, you would have thought they'd take this opportunity to thank Ronald Koeman at the end of the season, say goodbye, and usher in a complete new generation at Barcelona. But no, they've decided to stick with the Dutchman, and honestly, I commend them for the decision. There have been so many thoughts about Barcelona this season that I've had personally. First off, I thought, they're done. Messi should leave. Then I thought he should stay. And then I thought just maybe, recently, when their form's been very good, maybe they could even win La Liga title this season. If they do that and win the Copa del Rey final, things are looking quite rosy for Barca. Again, the same thing I'm talking about with Real Madrid. They would be putting a lot of money into Messi if they offered him a new deal. But the fact that they're looking to bring in more youngsters elsewhere around the pitch could still usher in a new generation whilst holding on to their greatest ever player. Alongside this, Antoine Griezmann and Ousmane Dembele in the attack look really good, and this is obviously backed up by the fact they've got some brilliant youngsters with the likes of Pedri and Ansu Fati as well. And we're not even talking about all of the other youngsters that seem to be bringing this new generation at Barca. Koeman staying beyond the end of the season despite whatever the results are for the next couple of months is really a positive step, but it shows that Barcelona are thinking carefully and tactically about where and how they're going to move the club forward. Certainly the thing that Barca fans love to see with a new president in charge. Next up then, a quick run up the rest of the day's transfer news that you might have missed, and with the departing Fernandinho, Manchester City think they have found their replacement in Borussia Mönchengladbach's Dennis Zakaria. Next up, and Real Madrid out of contract player Lucas Vazquez, who could leave the club in the summer, is apparently already in talks with Bayern Munich. Elsewhere, and actually talking of Real Madrid, their tie with Liverpool will be hosted in England and in Spain. There were reports that it was going to have to be moves like many other Champions League ties, but now that England have opened up their corridor to Spain and you can travel between the two, it looks like the matches will go ahead as normal in the regular stadiums. And lastly but not least, Gareth Bale has said that he plans to return to Real Madrid, and this really shouldn't have caused the stir that it had. Of course he's saying that. He's on a year loan from Spurs. It'd be even weirder if he came out and said, I plan to stay at Spurs when there's no agreement in place. He was literally just stating the terms of the agreement, and yes, he will return to Real Madrid and be a Real Madrid player, but who knows what's going to happen next season. Bale refused to comment whether or not he would be playing in London or Madrid or elsewhere next season. Finally then, we come to this week's great debate. This is where the OneFootball Newsroom pose a question for all of you, and you can find my answer and their answer in the relevant article in the OneFootball app. But for the comment section, we want to know who has the best international team in the world. Of course, it's the international break, and for me, it's got to be France. Yeah, it's a bit of an obvious answer considering they won the 2018 World Cup, but they're still ridiculous. Not only have they managed to keep intact the core of that 2018 World Cup winning side, they've also got Mbappe, Koeman, Dembele, Pavard, Kimpembe, who are all now 3 years older, 3 years more experienced, and 3 years better players. So that's a pretty good thing for France, but they are not done yet. On top of this, the next generation is seeing stars like Upamecano, Ndombele, Aouar and Camavinga all make their way into the France squad as unbelievable young talents, and they're not even finished there. France have got reserves, amongst insane uncapped players. There's also the likes of Fofana, Nkunku and Laporte who haven't even received a cap for France yet. They are so good in so many areas and have so much squad depth. Not only do I make France my favourites, along with Portugal I think, for the Euros this summer, they're the best team in the world, and I honestly think they're going to rule the international football scene for quite a few years to come. So there you have it. You guys let me know your thoughts on the great debate down below, and check out everything else we've got going on OneFootball. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.